Hi ladies, thank you so much for watching and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about forgiveness, but not the kind of forgiveness that I think we tend to think about when we hear that word. The kind of forgiveness that I want to talk about today is self-forgiveness. And so I think a lot of times with the new year coming and, new year, new me, letting go of old things, letting go of the past, we want to let go of those hurts that people have inflicted on us, or let go of that unforgiveness in our heart for those that we may have had unforgiveness for a long time and that we held on to. But a lot of times we forget about ourselves. We forget to forgive ourselves for some of the mistakes that we've made and some of the hurt and the pain that we've caused ourselves. And it's so important to remember that we need to let those things go, and we need to forgive ourselves for some of the things that you may not have known in life, and you made the wrong decision. Some of the things that you may have known in life and you still made that wrong decision. You had the best intentions, but for whatever reason, that wasn't the best choice for you, and you may have known that. And so now it's kind of hard to let go of that and to forgive yourself for that. But it's necessary. It's necessary for growth. It's necessary for healing, and just for self-love. And a while back, I had wrote a post, like I had said in my previous video, I had did a post on my website about forgiving myself. And I had wrote a letter to myself just saying, I forgive you for some of the things in life that you've done, and things that may have caused you pain or put you on a different track or derailed you. And it's okay. And just accepting that and knowing that and growing from it. And so I'll read you that letter that I had wrote to myself and then just kind of elaborate on it more from there. So what it says is, "Dear Chastity, I forgive you. I know that you always had the best intentions to do what was right for me and to give me the best possible outcome. But I also cannot blame you for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. I know that you've had to go through this journey and gain knowledge as it came, and that the road has not always been an easy one. I understand that had you not made some of the poor decisions that you made, that you wouldn't know what you know today. I also know that you wouldn't be the woman that you are right now, a woman that I love. Because of your past, you are stronger, you are more understanding, wiser, and more empathetic, just to say the least. Who you've become inspires me, and as strange as it is to say, sometimes excites me to go through the storm because I now see the beauty that comes from it. Your faith has been made stronger. Even though some of your choices cause me pain, I forgive you. I forgive you for being disobedient, for giving away your power, for giving up your innocence, and for not listening to your gut feelings, and for not always being the friend that you should have been. I know that if you would have known better, you would have done better. Even in those times when you clearly knew better, I can't hold it against you. You're human, you're flawed, and you make mistakes. Thank you for always doing what was necessary to get us through the hard times, and for believing in me and giving me grace when I needed it. I look forward to the rest of this journey. I know you may make more mistakes along the way and will have an impact on me, and just want you to know ahead of time that I forgive you. Love, Chastity." And I think that it's a powerful thing to do, to write those things down and just, like I said, acknowledge them and be able to release them. Not just saying that, it is what it is, which it is what it is, but the past is something that we can't change. And so just accepting it, and like I said, just growing from it. And I think that sometimes we don't realize the things that we're holding on to in our past. And just reflecting in this new year, and thinking back, because it's a new decade. When I think back on the decade previous to this one, and I think about the choices that I've made, I feel like sometimes like I messed my life up. And it wasn't intentional, of course, but there were mistakes that I made where I clearly knew better. And because of outside things, sometimes it being love, sometimes being decisions that I just have to make for survival, or, whatever the case may be. And some may call those excuses, but whatever the reason was, I sometimes made choices that were not good for me, and I knew that. Or they were choices that were, they were iffy, and I didn't really know. So it was kind of like I'm gambling and taking a choice and hoping for the best, but, the worst came. And luckily, through, I feel like, the grace of God and just Him strengthening me, I've been able to make it through those times. And I've been able to really look at those times and reflect and say, okay, Chastity, you messed up. How do we move forward from this? And how do we make sure that this doesn't happen again? But it's still a hard pill to swallow. It's still hard to look back on your life and realize that you could be so much further than what you are today. And a lot of it is like I said in my previous video, that it's disobedience to God and to what He tells me. And it's also, like I had said again in my previous video, I am still learning to hear His voice, and I'm still learning to decipher His voice from my voice and from the enemy's. And I don't always get that right. And sometimes I can be an impulsive person as well. And so as soon as I have an idea or, something, I'll make a huge life decision and choose to just run with it. And in the past, I've prayed about it. But to be honest, sometimes we will pray about things, but we don't really wait to hear God's voice. We just assume, I prayed about it and I'm comfortable with it. Let's go. And it's so important to wait on that and sit on it and wait until you get clear till you hear clearly from God in what it is that He wants you to do and what move you should make. One of the decisions that I made, it was about 2 years ago, was I was at a point where I wasn't really happy in life, and I was living in Dallas, and I didn't have a lot of family out there. So I was missing my family, and I wasn't super happy in the job that I was in. And so, and backing it up, I had previously worked for an organization, which was really like my dream job. It was like my calling, just serving people and loving people and being there for them. It was my job. It was what I did daily. And so I felt so grateful and blessed to be in that position, especially because it was a position that I wasn't really qualified for. I knew that I could do the job and I could learn it, but going into it, I had no experience. So the fact that I even got that job was a blessing. And there was different things that played a part, but I ultimately decided to leave that job, and I went into another job. And at that point, that's when I wasn't really happy. And so I remember riding to work and talking to my sister and telling her, I feel like I have prayed to God, and the decision is to quit my job and, kind of step out on faith and move from there. And so I made that decision, and mind you, I felt like I heard from God, but I wasn't 100% sure that I had heard from Him. And so I made that rash decision to quit my job. And I just believed, God's going to take care of me from here and everything's going to be fine. Well, I was wrong. And so, it ended up, obviously I had no job. My finances were tight. I ended up moving, back home, and from there, things weren't really easy either. I had moved in with my sister and her husband for a while, and then from there, I got a job, and I was able to save up some money and get a place of my own. But it's still like just that feeling of happiness and fulfillment. It wasn't really there, and now I'm second guessing, should I go back to Dallas? Long story short, I'm still in the process of that and learning that and figuring that out. But as I look back in hindsight, I realized I didn't really wait to hear from God and hear what His will is for my life. I felt like I did, but at that same time, I still was like, I don't really know, but I just gave it a go anyway. And, I feel like I'm paying for that now. Just like with the previous position, I feel like I'm paying for that. I feel like God has blessed me a lot of times in life. And when He's given me things that I didn't really deserve, I've neglected to take care of those in the way that I should have. And I maybe given them up, sooner than I should have. And my intentions were good with all of those experiences, but it was my will that I was seeking. And even though, like I said, I prayed about it, I didn't wait to hear, what his will was. And I think I'm kind of rambling, but just to kind of go back to forgiveness, like, I have to forgive myself for those things. And, sometimes you derail yourself from the path that God has for you. And it's not to say that he's not a good God and that he doesn't extend grace and can get you back on the path that you need to be, or put you on a path that may be better. He can work it out for you. And I believe that's what he's doing for me now. But at some point we have to take accountability, and we have to learn that we need to stop doing that. And really I'm speaking for myself when I say that, that I need to start being more obedient to what he says to me, and to kind of really stop and listen to what it is that he's saying to me. And a lot of times those things may not look like, it may not make sense on what he's saying, or it may not be something that is desirable. It may be uncomfortable, but I have to, listen to his word and trust him and go on the path that he wants me to go. And there's going to be times, again, even though I'm growing in that and I'm learning how that should look and how I should react to it, there's going to be times that I stumble and I fall, and I know that. But I know that when I do that, it's fine. I'm human, and he understands. As long as my heart is in the right place and that my intentions are good, you may fall, but you can pick yourself back up and just carry on from there and take that lesson and learn from it and grow from it. I know I've said that a few times in this video, but that's really what it is. But that letter that I had read to you, I strongly encourage you, if there's anything in your life that you feel like you haven't forgiven yourself for, write yourself a letter and apologize to yourself for the things that you've done, and be open and honest. And I know sometimes that's hard, even just with ourselves, but it's hard to own up to the things that we've done, and to own up to the fact that we've taken, routes that we shouldn't have taken, and we've made choices that we shouldn't have taken, especially when those things impact you in a major way. Like I said, for me, a move from one state to another, that's major. And I feel like now, and I don't know that it's really a mistake. I don't know. But I don't, and this is the thing too. I don't feel like it was God's will, looking back in hindsight. I don't think. But I know that he can still make it beautiful. And I feel like that's what he's done. And so maybe that's why I'm somewhat confused on that. But anyways, I say that all to say, just when you make those decisions that are life-changing, and you realize that, I shouldn't have done that, sometimes that can be hard to take in, and it can be hard to accept. But what's done is done, and you can't change it. All you can do is change going forward. Change how you think and how you react to situations going forward. And I think that starts with accepting it, and it starts with forgiving yourself from it and owning up to it and learning from it and just going forward and knowing that, these are decisions that I've made in the past, and I see how they've affected me, and going forward, that's not how my life's going to be. And for me, I don't want to be in the driver's seat of my life, because I see what it does. It's not all bad, but I know that it could have been a whole lot better. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay that it's just taking me a little bit longer to get to where I need to go. However, at this point in my life, I'm 30 years old. At this point, I don't want to continue taking the path that I choose for myself. And so, like I said, with this new year, when you're thinking about those people in your life that you want to forgive and you want to let go of those things, don't forget to include yourself. And like I said, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up over the mistakes that you've made, because you're human and it's going to happen. It's okay. The most important thing is that you learn from it and that you move on from it. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.